Super excited to talk about SEO. And SEO over the last few years has gone out of favor, but it's making a comeback, and it's never been as large as it's been before. So I'm going to share with you some of the strategies that have been working for me.
I don't think the mic's working.
Not working?
Well, it's just for recording purposes, not for projection.
Can you hear me okay? Or a little bit? Okay, I'll speak louder. So just a little bit about myself. I work with companies like Thumbtack, Masterclass, Ticketmaster, building out SEO engines and focusing on conversions, not just visits. And part of what I try to focus on is the ecosystem around SEO. So it's not just core SEO, but it's things like content, conversion, and authority. And so I help companies, usually growth stage marketplaces, consumer marketplaces, build out SEO engines. And I wanted to first talk about SEO of the past and then contrast with SEO as it is today. And I found this graphic that is very indicative of SEO of the past. And you'll notice that most of the strategy is around backlinks, and backlinks are the input for PageRank from 10 years ago. And most of what people would focus on is just bribing people to get more backlinks or creating weird fake advertisement articles linking to themselves. And so you'll just see these large amounts of strategies and entire agencies just focused on bribing people to link to you. And then the rest of what people would focus on are things like PageRank sculpting and adding links to pages, but nothing about making a good product or helping the user. And this is kind of how I visualize SEO of the past, which is gather millions and millions of keywords, make a page for every single keyword, build links however you can, including and especially bribing people to link to you. User experience doesn't matter. Content doesn't really matter. Build content for the bot, build user experience for the bot. None of this is about building a great product or helping the user. And as you might imagine, SEO grew out of favor because most of what SEOs would do would be essentially spam and bribing people to pay for links. And if you think about it, if you spend your entire career just focused on creating spam and paying people to link to you, that's not a very exciting field to be in. And so SEO's definitely gone out of favor over the past few years. And also, Google's algorithm has changed a lot over the past few years, and the tactics that I just mentioned don't really work anymore, and they're more and more not working. And one of the big changes with SEO is that in the past, SEO was about the algorithm was a rule-based algorithm, which means that there are these holes in the algorithm, and SEOs would just focus on finding holes and exploiting those holes, like paying people to put links or repeating keywords on your page to make it look like the page was relevant. So over the past few years, one of the big changes is with machine learning. And in short, what machine learning does is make the algorithms more and more complicated and more complex, which means that there are fewer holes to exploit, which means it's harder to exploit the algorithm. And so over the past few years, tactics haven't been working, and it's been harder and harder to have your job be spamming Google's algorithm and outsmarting Google at search. And so in some form, SEO of the past is dead. But that doesn't mean that SEO overall is dead. It means that it's evolved. And in particular with machine learning optimizes for some outcome, which is usually a human outcome, like getting the user to find a restaurant that they wanted or to rate something higher or to buy something. And the algorithm is optimizing for those outcomes. And while there may not be that many holes in the algorithm as it gets more complex, you can optimize people and you can get people to convert more on those outcomes. And so the way that I think about the difference between SEO now and today is that rather than optimizing for the algorithm, you're optimizing for human outcomes, and you're getting people to do more of what Google is looking to optimize for. And if we can understand what the algorithm is optimizing for, then we can optimize for those things. And so I want to propose a new SEO stack, which is centered on understanding the user's intent and then fulfilling that intent. And building a user experience that fulfills the intent, content strategy that fulfills the intent, and conversion strategy. And so rather than focus on finding holes in the algorithm, it's more about Google is optimizing for these parts, or rather, these are inputs and dimensions for what they're optimizing for. So let's figure out a way to optimize for these things. So everything starts with intent. Why did you come and what are you specifically looking for? Building topical authority. So even if you're not a big brand that's been around for 20 years, you can build a brand around a specific topic, like beauty products, for example. And then building a user experience, especially the right landing page and the right features on the landing page. Creating premium content, so not just content for the bot, but content for the user, and using data to inform what content you put on the page. And then last is a conversion strategy, getting the user to actually convert on why they came in the first place. And I'll talk about each of these separately. So the way that I think about whether or not you will rank and why are you in position 5 or position 1, how do you grow, how do you get higher in the rankings, is across all the dimensions that I just mentioned. And each of these dimensions is an input. And it's not about whether or not you have enough authority in the abstract. It's about what is your relative authority compared to the other sites that are ranking, or what is the content quality, what is the user experience, what is the conversion. And so each of these dimensions are inputs that decide whether you rank and to what extent you rank. So whenever you're looking at a query and trying to figure that out, consider these dimensions and compare yourself against the other sites that are ranking. So again, everything starts with intent, and one of the first things that I do when I'm building out strategies is to look at all the keywords and try to categorize them by intent. And usually you come up with these 3 intents for commerce, in particularly in marketplaces, which is learn, browse, and buy. And these are very different intents. So for learning, it's how to make my TV wireless. I'm not necessarily ready to buy something. I'm ready to learn. For browse, I am looking for a set of items around a particular topic, like best TVs. And then when I'm looking to buy something, it's a specific product. And you want to look at these based on both volume and intent, not just volume, because ultimately we want to optimize for number of conversions. And frequently, learning is a very high volume category with low intent, whereas buying is a much higher intent category. So we can categorize based on these intents, and then we can opportunity size and figure out which ones should we go after first. And our entire strategy for user experience, content, and conversion should all stem from these original intents of learn, browse, and buy. So I wanted to dig in a little bit more on intent. And in the past, each of these keywords would be its own separate page. And a keyword is how you would target. So you would gather millions and millions of keywords and make a page for every single keyword. And more, that's not a good strategy. A better strategy is fewer pages that go after a smaller set of topics, but cover more content on those topics. And so what I will do is try to find keywords that are thematically related, like best LCD TV and new LCD TV are probably the same topic. It's someone looking to buy a TV and to browse TVs. So the way that I'll approach this is to come up with topics where there's a one-to-many relationship of topic to keywords, and each topic is essentially a page that we could create that goes after a set of keywords. You can then look at the search volume for each of these keywords and then group all these and essentially have thousands and thousands of topics and a master list of every page you'd ever want to create, prioritized by search volume and also prioritized by intent. This is super important because a lot of times people will launch pages not knowing whether or not people are looking for them, and they might rank in position 1, but they're not getting any traffic, and they don't know why. And frequently the reason why is because nobody's looking for that topic, or very few people are looking for that topic. So it's important to opportunity size all of the pages that you could create and do that by volume and by intent, and then work on the pages that have the highest opportunity. The second thing, the thing that I just showed you is essentially the addressable market for all of SEO. So what is everyone searching for and how many people are doing that? But it doesn't tell you where you can compete. And an example of this is at Masterclass, if we were creating food content, and if you just look at search volume, it would be chicken, pizza, and salad. But that's not necessarily what Masterclass is relevant for. What Masterclass is relevant for are the celebrities like Gordon Ramsay or Thomas Keller. So instead of creating a chicken page, we created a beef Wellington page because Gordon Ramsay is highly topically relevant for beef Wellington. And because of that, we're able to outrank on beef Wellington, whereas we may not have ranked on salad. And in Q4, Unsurprisingly, thousands and thousands of people are looking for beef Wellington. Masterclass ranked very high without nearly as much authority as Food Network or All Recipes or some of the larger players. The reason why is because we have substantial topical authority specifically around the instructor names. So we first want to start with the addressable market of what are all the topics that we could possibly create around food or shopping. And then we want to look at where will we outperform the competitors, and that is about topical authority. And 10 years ago, topical authority was about backlinks, but there's a more diverse set of inputs for authority, which are things like shares, branded search, and non-SEO traffic. So the more non-SEO traffic, the more people that are sharing your content, searching for you on Google, the more authority you have, and also the more topical authority you have. And for links, one of the most effective ways was paying people to link to you. But with these new inputs, brand marketing is actually one of the most effective ways to build your authority. And some of the most effective strategies are influencers, advertising, and PR. And with something like Masterclass, we don't need to build links, really, because our instructors will go on The Tonight Show and talk about Masterclass, which means that millions of people will then go to Google and search for Masterclass or visit Masterclass directly or share our content. And so this has been a super effective way for Masterclass to build a lot of authority very quickly compared to sites that have been around for 20 years. Advertising is actually another interesting strategy where Grammarly, for example, runs a lot of YouTube ads. I don't know if any of you have seen them. I'm guessing most of you have. But if Grammarly runs a YouTube ad, millions of people will then go to Google, search for Grammarly, go to Grammarly, share their content, link to Grammarly. So their paid acquisition strategy, because it is so effective and at such a high scale, that then in turn creates a lot of SEO authority as well. And then influencers similarly. This has been super effective. Millions of people watching certain influencers, loyal fans. If they promote a product, they'll go to Google, look for that, share content, and visit the site. And so all of these are ways to substantially grow authority in ways other than just getting more backlinks. So we've started by figuring out which intents we want to go after. We've prioritized our list of topics based on traffic and by conversion. We've figured out which categories we can outperform on based on our topical authority. And now we want to figure out the right landing page strategy. And when I say user experience, the main thing that I'm talking about is the landing page and the features on the landing page. And one of the big changes in user experience for Google is that they classify page types and associate a correct page type with a query. And especially in the past, most results would be auto-generated lists of things that happen to contain keywords, whereas now it's a lot of article content. And the way to look at this is within each of your intent, take the keywords that you want to rank for and try to look for patterns in the page type of which results are ranking on Google. So an example of this is eyeliner liquid, where almost every page is an article, not a list and not a product. So if you're creating a list page for this query, you're probably not going to rank, even if you have a lot of authority, because you had the wrong landing page. So as you're thinking about the user experience for your intent, making sure that you have the right landing page is super important. Usually the patterns that you'll see is for learning. It'll be an article. I want to learn how to apply eyeliner liquid. For browsing, it's usually a list of products. I want to get the best eyeliner products. And then for buying, it's usually a product page where it's a specific product that you can buy. The second is making sure that you have the right features on the page. So if there's a very strong pattern of everyone has ratings on the page and you don't have ratings, those are things that you want to look at and consider adding those to the page. So we figured out the right landing page experience for our intents. Now we need to figure out what the right content is. And more than just using intuition and expertise for what is good content, we want to use data to inform what good content is. And some of the themes that we want to look at are Google more and more is favoring long form content, long pages with many paragraphs that are very comprehensive. Media. So again, for each query, you want to know, do you need a video? Do you need one image? Do you need many images or no images? If something like eyeliner liquid, everyone has 10 images and you have none, you probably need images. Whereas if nobody has images, maybe you don't need images. For how to dribble a basketball, if everyone has a video, you probably need a video. So making sure that you know what media you need and how much. And then last is subtopics, which is very interesting. Google wants comprehensive results that cover all the key concepts within a topic. And they don't want you to click on 10 links, because if you're clicking on 10 links, you didn't get what you needed on one of those links. So if you have a comprehensive result that has all of the subtopics and all of the keywords and is long and comprehensive and has all of the media, then you're the single answer to a question, which ultimately is what Google wants. So I'll talk a little bit about this. Some of the tools that I found most useful are autocomplete, people also ask, and some keyword tools. And what I'll try to do for each topic is look for patterns, like you'll see waterproof and tutorial, and in people also ask, you'll see what are the best beginners. These are all potential subtopics that we could have on the eyeliner page. We might want to have something for eyeliners that stay on all day, or eyeliners for beginners, or waterproof eyeliners, and these could all be subtopics on the main topic page. And then we are comprehensive result. And these tools are super effective in figuring out what subtopics users want, and it's usually not obvious. So I strongly encourage to get data for this. The last is we've figured out the intents, we've figured out the right landing page, we've developed a data-driven content strategy. The last step is converting the user, getting the user to actually convert. And again, each intent has a different conversion. And you want to measure based on that intent. So for something like learn, a successful conversion on learning is probably something like staying on the page and reading the entire article, maybe clicking on something else, versus buy, where the conversion event is to purchase, versus browse, where it's probably to click on several items and maybe stay on the site. But you want to make sure that you're measuring conversion based specifically on the intent, and you're not just saying time on site or click-through rate. What you don't want to do is block the user from their intent. So throwing up a sign-up modal or making the user download the app and not letting them convert on their intent is something that you definitely don't want to do. And Google will punish you for that. And again, you want to use data to inform your conversion strategy. So the way that I think about this is quantitative data will help you map out your entire funnel. Like I visited, I clicked on a product, I added it to cart, I added a credit card, I purchased. It'll tell you where the fall off is quantitatively, but qualitative data will tell you why. And I try to look for where the holes are in the conversion funnel. Like maybe I added the product to a cart, but I didn't actually buy. And then break that decision down. So why did you decide to add a cart, and why did you not actually eventually purchase? Try to break that down into a decision and to its component parts, like did I not trust the site? Was I not sure about the product? Was it too expensive? Figure out exactly why the user fell out of the funnel with qualitative data, and then try to optimize for that. And some of the tools that I'll use for that are heat maps, different surveys asking users, what did you want? Did you get what you wanted? Why didn't you? And user testing. And this is super valuable. And yeah, so to summarize, I want to, again, propose a new way of thinking about SEO, which is to optimize for the intent. Understand all the different intents that we want to target, opportunity size those intents, opportunity size all of the thousands and thousands of pages and topics that we could create based on search volume and conversion. Figure out which ones you'll outperform on using topical authority. Make sure that you understand the right user experience, you have the right page type and the right functionality on the page to fulfill that intent. And create premium content that's comprehensive, that's long enough, that covers all of these subtopics so that a user can just click on your site and doesn't have to click on all 10 links. And then ultimately help the user convert on their intent. And again, this is based on not finding holes in the algorithm and fooling users, but on understanding the user's intent and fulfilling that intent. So I wanted to open it up to questions. Yes?
How do you think about local searches? Maybe with your time at Thumbtack, let's say somebody's searching for photographer, San Francisco. How do you think about that?
There's a bunch of dimensions for local. One of them is where your authority is, and your authority is frequently local. So for something like Thumbtack, they might have a lot of authority in San Francisco, but not a lot of authority in a new market like Houston, let's say. So part of it's the local aspect. And was your question about authority or local in general?
How do you think about, can you give us some tips? How do you start building that?
How do you start building authority?
Like a long-term keyword, like San Francisco photographer, you know,
Yes.
or Los Angeles?
Yeah, so there's a few different ways, but in general, brand marketing is a very effective way, and paid advertising. So if when you're in a market, you can do PR or brand marketing, get people searching for you, get people sharing your content, starting to build authority for that city name, that can help a lot. The other thing is on your landing page, you can add elements that make it more relevant for local. Really good examples are Yelp and TripAdvisor, where TripAdvisor will have 30 best hotels in Santa Monica. And you'll see a bunch of local elements on the page where they repeat number 2 best in Santa Monica, number 3 best hotel in Santa Monica, repeating the city over and over again. Arguably not super great content, but they're increasing their local relevance. And then also, building authority in those markets. But one of the key challenges, especially going international, is not having authority in these new markets and just hoping that the U.S. strategy will work in India, and it won't. And so spending a lot of time building authority. And I would also say figure out what authority you got in the current markets that you're in and try to double down and reproduce that in new markets. Yes.
When going up against large incumbents on queries pertaining to buying intents, what would be your recommendation as to which of those 5 kind of categories would have the most impact to increase that ranking?
Yeah, so the question was about if you're going up against an incumbent, which of these dimensions are the most impactful to outperform on? And I would say a couple of things. So figuring out your topical authority and going after that content first is very effective. So usually a brand will have strong authority for a set of keywords. So like take your brand, figure out what people are searching for your brand specifically. So for Masterclass Gordon Ramsay, Masterclass Thomas Keller. So then take those queries and then try to compete on that content. That's probably the most effective. User experience is hard because if you have an article, there's a bunch of other people with articles. So I wouldn't say that you can outperform on user experience. Content, you can. Most people are not being data-driven about content. So having the right subtopics, the right length, the right keywords is another thing that you can outperform on. And conversion's also hard. So I would say figure out your topical authority and then use a data-driven approach on content. And then UX and conversion are like table stakes. Yes.
On one of your slides, you do not have like a sign up page or login page.
Yep.
How would you go about having certain actions when you have a closed marketplace?
What aspect is closed?
Like you have a B2B marketplace, and
Yep.
the actual marketplaces, you have to sign up and be approved as a buyer and the seller.
So the question is about how you convert users on their intent when something is locked or you need to pay.
And also optimizing this.
Yeah, so it's hard to answer in the abstract, but the way that I would generally approach that is the user, for something like a marketplace, probably wants to sign up as a supplier or to purchase something. So if you land, let's say plumber in San Francisco for Thumbtack. If you land on the page, ultimately you want to get a plumber in San Francisco. So it's totally fine to let you click on a plumber and then upsell you to sign up and then upsell you to a paid account and have locked content. That's totally fine. What you do want on a landing page like this is you want something that fulfills the intent and some meaningful flow to then convert. So as long as your page has something to fulfill the intent without signing up and then you upsell to sign up, that's a good strategy for SEO. The second thing is with sign up and purchase flows, you can build a lot of intent that you can't hear. So if you just throw this up as soon as you land, the user doesn't know what your offering is and you haven't really built intent. Whereas if you give them a taste of what you want, almost like a freemium flow, then you can build that intent and then you can actually get them to convert much higher and you can also win an SEO. Yes.
So one of the things I didn't see here was about star reviews and the whole content. My understanding is that Google does reward star reviews and they're pretty ubiquitous. So how does that play into this?
It does. And the way that it plays into this is Google has a quality rater guideline where they talk about a bunch of things that they'll look at within certain categories and cost of entry features. One of them within commerce are star ratings. And so Google specifically will weight whether you have star ratings and how many star ratings you have as a key signal. So That is, so part of it is on a product page, especially, do you have reviews and how many reviews do you have? And Google can actually tell that both with rich snippets and just by crawling the page. And that's a very important thing, especially for product search. If there's 10 different sites with star ratings and you have more ratings, that's the kind of thing that will help you outperform. And my time is up. Thank you very much.